Marianne Rafferty, thank you. Let's bring in former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno. Joe, great to have you on. The indictment. Is it on? Is it off? Is it 50-50? What do you think?
Trace, thanks for having me on. Look, it's anyone's guess, right? But look, I'll take a contrarian view here. I have never believed this was a serious march to an indictment. You don't leak this amount of grand jury information if you have a strong case. You march forward and you drop your indictment. In this case, we're getting almost daily leaks from this grand jury about what they're doing, what they're contemplating, when they're meeting. That should never be tolerated. Grand juries should operate in complete secrecy to protect the rights of people who are not charged and may never be charged. So the fact that we are getting this much information broadcasts weakness to me.
Yeah. Jonathan Turley said this, Joe. Watch.
Bragg is suggesting, according to reports, that he'd like to prove a federal crime that the Department of Justice didn't think warranted a charge. That's something that none of us have really seen before.
Yeah, federal, right? Federal violent felony. The whole thing is that this thing was supposed to be a misdemeanor, but the statute of limitations ran out, so he had to make it a felony. And now he's trying to figure out a way to make it fit, and he's having trouble with that last piece of the puzzle, Joe.
Trace, there are actually at least 3 major procedural problems with this case. The statute of limitations, it's too old. The trying to patch together New York charges with federal charges, never been done as far as we know in New York, and it likely will be thrown out. Then the fact that Trump could say he relied on the advice of counsel. Michael Cohen was his lawyer and told him that doing it in this fashion was legal. That's a great defense for a person who's facing charges, to say, I didn't know it was right or wrong. I relied on my attorney, and he told me this was the way to do it. If you get past through all of that, then you go to trial, and Michael Cohen is your star witness. He's got a lot of problems. So, Trace, this case is riddled with weaknesses.
It's a very good point, because Michael Cohen really is the star witness here. But his legal advisor, right, said this about Cohen. I want to play this. This was on Sean Hannity. Watch.
Michael Cohen was saying, I will lie, cheat, steal, shoot someone. I will never spend a day in jail. Well, what happened? He did spend more than a day in jail. And who does he blame? He blames Donald Trump.
And the question then is what Robert Costello was saying and what he said to the grand jury, is that the reason the grand jury is now on a pause?
Very likely, Trace. Remember, federal prosecutors up in New York, who are among the best in the country, passed on this case. Why is that? Because they themselves prosecuted Michael Cohen for perjury. They know him, and I'm sure that they factored in that he would be their star witness. Relying on him, not the way you want to bring the first case against a former president.
Yeah. Joe Moreno, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Trace. Anytime.
Well, first up in tonight's Crime Round.